And now Janine Pugh discusses the concept for an alternative events venue for Nelson, the brainchild of the successful local musician Aly Cook.
Okay, Aly, thank you very much for coming on the show. As part of yourself, you're an entrepreneur, you're a mother, you're a recording artist, obviously a lot of other things. Matt, just recently you went to one of the council meetings and presented an idea to them about the big top tent. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Well, I was looking at a big top tent for Richmond Park for an event, and it was very expensive to hire them, and I have a background in touring during the 80s and 90s with the Moscow Circus and Torval and Dean and with the big tops, and I started to make some inquiries about what it would cost to get one over from my sources in Australia, and then the Trafalgar Centre announcement came and the Nelson School of Music announcement came, and I don't really want to get into the debate over whether that should be closed or not, because that's got to be left to engineers and lawyers and people that decide that.
Sure.
But for the Nelson region, I think we really do need a venue. And I've always felt that we needed a bigger venue, that we needed a venue that that stopped any rain problems when there were events on. And a big top is the way to solve that. So I started to investigate what it would cost to actually buy one and bring one over.
Okay, with this big top tent, is it something that obviously it's movable because it can be put up and put down, so it's not going to be set in one place, or does it have the potential that it can be set up for extended periods of time?
They can be set up for extended periods of time. The best example of that was actually the Mount Smart Super Top at the Ericsson Stadium in Auckland, and that was put up as an older tent when it was actually brought in and put up, and it stayed up for 20 years, and there were 20 years of concerts held in Auckland, so it is possible for them to stay up. The tent that I'm proposing, that I've taken to council and that I will take to TDC as well, is a brand new tent out of Europe. So these are what we call off the shelf. So they've been used for one large European event and they've been put away. So it's a brand spanking new item, and I priced up a couple of different tents to see what we could have size wise.
Okay, so then how will this benefit the region? Obviously we have the council have closed the Trafalgar Centre, the School of Music. We kind of are limited on where events can be held, which is happening. So therefore we were struggling with events at the best of time with those two large areas, and now we've just got the Theatre Royal. How will this benefit the region?
Well, basically it allows for larger events to come here, and that's a matter of economic development. You know, you bring larger events in, you can have the potential for bringing people in to see those events here. I'm working at the moment on Andrea Bocelli in Auckland, and so I'm doing grabber seats promotions with, taking people from all over New Zealand who are travelling to see Andrea in Auckland. And this is one of the things that if we had a larger venue here, it would allow promoters to actually bring events here, and perhaps we would be the town that people were flying to stay at, to enjoy, to go to a concert, and then to go and spend money in the region, look at the region, do other tourism activities. So we could really target ourselves in that department. And we're not just talking about music concerts. So we're talking about wine festivals. Basically, there would never, you'd never have to cancel an event. If you had a wine festival, you could just put it inside this thing, and rain would never be an issue.
So what size are we talking? Like, we're talking about the football field size?
Yeah, well, we're talking, there's two different tents that I've looked at. One is a 7,000 standing, and that's the larger one, and the other is 6,000 standing, which we're talking with a stage at one end, seated 4.5 on the smaller one, and seated 6 on the larger one. The reason I looked at the larger one is because I sort of looked at all of the use of Trafalgar Centre, and of course the Nelson Giants and basketball was one use. So I went and I looked, and because I've done things like ice shows and Harlem Globetrotters and various things like that, you know what's required. And we could fit a basketball court in the larger one because the centres are actually 20 metres apart.
So you're forward planning so that we can actually use something for more than one use?
Well, yeah, and I actually
That's
found
so
out
unlike
that you can
Nelson.
I found out that you can actually have NBA approved portable basketball courts, and I've in fact found one. So that is for sale. So I've sort of gone out there and scouted to see what we could find that could do the job. And the amazing thing is that you can do the job for a much larger venue for a fraction of what it will even cost to fix Trafalgar Centre.
Okay, so how was it met with? What was the response from the Nelson City Council?
Well, I think it was quite positive. There's always a process with council that you have to go through, and I'm really just at the beginning of that process. And it's not really that I want to spearhead it, it's more that I see this as a solution to a problem. So I'm just saying, here's the solution. You can fix this for the next 10 or 15 years for under $2 million. We can land this thing here, have it completely up with seats and everything, for well under $2 million. So it's like when you look at, I was seeing quotes in the paper and figures being quoted in the media of, $27 million to just fix. And I'm thinking, wow, we could actually own, 7 big tops for that. So
but it's also multifaceted as well. It's not just, it's not just a participation stadium that we've got Saxon Stadium.
Well, it's way bigger.
Stoke.
For starters, it has a way bigger potential, and it can be used for bigger events. So it means that we could bring bigger kind of corporate shows here, car shows, wedding shows, all of those sort of big things. You can have them all inside the tent. You can take the seats in, you can put tiered seats in, you can put flat seats, tiered seats, you can put a basketball court in the middle and put seats. In fact, I could seat 5,500 in that tent with a basketball court around. The other aspect is, so the big top's a little bit different from a marquee. A marquee's more of a cover size. A big top, you can hang 2 tonne off every pole. So if you've got 8 poles, there's a lot of tonnage that you can actually hang out of there and show and lighting and everything. And
you have had previous experience with the big tops as well. So support from outside of the council. You've obviously probably run it by a couple of people?
So basically I've met with most of the major promoters throughout New Zealand, and I put a letter of support that went through to council that came from Ian McGann, who I had a long extended meeting with, and he said to me he thought it was a great idea. They'd had to pull Billy Connolly out of here, and he said if this tent was up, Ally, I could have filled it with Billy. So, that's a promoter straight away going, instead of putting 2,300 people, I could have filled that with 5,000 or 6,000 in Nelson, which shows, for a promoter to say that actually shows that, there is a need for it, and shows would come here, and it's a matter of bringing a few shows here and showing that it actually works. You have to step out and do that. With support as far as sponsorship, big tops are great, because you can, the one site that I had has been mooted is Richmond Park, and the reason I'd mooted that is because the parking is actually there for 6,000 people. The park's not used a hang of a lot. There's a few events a year that are there. And that is in the flight path of Nelson Airport, so you could sell the roof off. So basically, a sponsor could buy that roof, and every flight in and out of Nelson would see it. That that's one line of thinking. You can sell the outside of the tent with sponsored messages. You can sell the inside of the tent. So there's quite a this would be it's an easy thing to do money wise. Like with a few sponsors and a bit of council support, and they would own it, which then means that they can hire it. So it can actually leave the region and go somewhere else and be hired for the weekend and come back. It takes 3 days to put it up and bring it down. And I moved a tent on the road for a year where we pulled it down in 24 hours and moved it, and it was 10,000 seats with a full ice skating rink in the middle. Right. So the ability to bring it down and put it up is there as well. It can be hired, so it's just multi-purpose, and it has the ability to make money on hire as well as make money in a fixed place being hired as well. It could go anywhere. It could go in Nelson if someone found a place for it to go.
Sounds like a bit of a no-brainer. So thank you very much for that, Aly. Look forward to seeing what happens now. You are going to take it to the TDC as well.
So next I have a meeting on the 30th with Richard and Jodine and Mike Tasman-Jones, and so I'll be showing them the idea. I have all the plans and concepts, and we'll just take it forward and see what we can make happen. But it's certainly a solution to a problem that's fast and easy and could be done within 3 months of a decision. We could have it here and be up and running. Even if Trafalgar Centre was to be fixed, it could still.
It's still offering something aside.
It would still take a very long time to do. So.
Cool. Thank you very much. We look forward to getting an update on it.
Thanks for having me.